Welcome back to the Combat Chit Chat Show, and today we are here to discuss a very important topic regarding the lightweight division of UFC. I am absolutely astonished to see the way the lightweight division is currently going. There was once upon a time that the lightweight division was the most prestigious, the most respected, the favorite division throughout the entire MMA community and the UFC roster. And today you had savages in the lightweight division. You had from the BJ Penn era to the Conor McGregor era to then Habib's ascendance to Islam Makhachev and to now here. Like, how did we get here? How did we get here? I do not understand. Look, let's pull up the rankings here, right? Right, guys. So I've pulled up Topology, right? And these are the current rankings from number 1 to number 10. Right. Okay, so let's have a look. Right. So you currently got the champion Ilya Topuria, who's fighting less and tweeting more and starting Twitter beefs with the best boxer in the world, who would absolutely decimate him and literally bury him into the soul, and trying to be the new Conor McGregor, trying to go for that money fight that he will never get. He's not that big of a star. He's not the star that he thinks he is. He hasn't even hit 1 million pay-per-view buys as of yet. Conor was doing that from the beginning of his career, way back in 2015. Regardless of what you think about Conor, regardless of those who may think Ilya is the better fighter, and Ilya is the better fighter, but we're talking about star power here, right? Ilya comes nowhere near. And at the same time, also, this guy is spending more time in public appearances in in Spanish music concerts, like, whilst he's got the number one contender here, Arman Sarukian, who everyone, hardcore MMA fans want to see this fight. But the truth is, Topuria is scared. He sees Arman as a threat. He does not want to entertain that fight. He openly said, this is not me trying to rage bait just to get views. He openly said at a press conference that if the UFC pressure him to fight Arman, then he would vacate the title. Ladies and gentlemen, never has that happened in history where a champion openly and publicly said that if I'm put on there, if you give me an unfavorable matchup, then I will relinquish the title. That's never happened in history. Yes, fighters have ducked challenges behind closed scenes, behind the curtains. You know, only Dana White, Hunter Campbell, and the rest of the UFC team know which champion ducked which challenger. We as fans and as viewers, we don't know this. Ilya openly and shamelessly stated that he will relinquish the title if he is forced to fight Arman. And this is the situation where we're at. So that's the story with Ilya Topuria. Now you've got number one contender Arman Sarukian, who, by the way, let me make this clear, who, by the way, is being sidelined by the UFC. The champion is being protected from Arman because the UFC matchmakers are not stupid. Dana's not stupid. They know the skill set and the talent that Arman has, and they know the potential risks and threats that he presents to their new star boy, Ilia Topuria. So of course they want to make Ilya a bigger star, get him to defend the title at least 2, 3 times, milk as much money as they can from him, and keep him protected up until then. Because if Sarukian wins now and he dethrones Topuria, that's bad for business. That's bad for business. And this is when it's just not fair. This it's no longer a sport, you know. But at the same time, Sarukian isn't doing himself any favors either. He's out here going to grappling matches to go fight 50-year-old retired UFC fighters. He was literally just grappling Benson Henderson like just a few days ago. So he's not also doing himself any favors. In my opinion, at this point, Sarukian might as well just take a fight. And also, let me make this clear as well with the Sarukian situation. Why I said he's being sidelined is because so Arman is currently right now being punished by the UFC because he pulled out at UFC. I forget which event it was, but it was the event in California where the whole stage was set for Arman. Dana literally set it there just because of the Armenian community that reside there. He set the stage. He literally rolled out the red carpet for Arman. It was his time to shine, and the day before he pulled out. But end of the day, he got injured. What can you do? He got injured and he hurt his back. He couldn't make weight. Yes, it's not ideal. Yes, it's frustrating um, from UFC's end. But let's not forget, this has happened in history before. Firstly, John Jones, when um, when his opponent got injured or pulled out, Chael Sonnen decided to step in, right? Um, on short notice to fight John Jones, and Jones said no, and UFC literally had to shut down the event. They couldn't go ahead with that main event, right? And um, Dana was upset with Jones, couldn't do nothing though because he was the champion. But fast forward years later, Tom Aspinall is the current interim champion of the heavyweight division. So no one has a bigger claim to the title contention than Tom Aspinall. This is in 2024, and what did they do? They gave Jones a title shot against Cyril Gane, right? And which, by the way, is absurd. But okay, they gave it to Jones. Fine. Jones went and defeated Cyril Gane to claim the heavyweight title, and now they literally the year after, instead of making that Jones and Aspinall fight, where Aspinall is the interim champ, they brought in a 50-year-old Stipe Miocic who hadn't fought in 4 years, and the last time he fought was with the former heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou and got his head topped. He got sparked clean. Stipe Miocic got waxed. And they gave that title shot fight to Stipe Miocic over Tom Aspinall. And then, for the first time in the history of UFC, they made Tom Aspinall go and fight and defend the interim championship belt against Curtis Blades. That's never happened in history. Another time, Colby Covington defeated Masvidal and then sat out on the fence for a good one and a half year, and then he somehow wormed his way in and became the backup fighter for the I believe the Leon Edwards and Kamaru fight, the trilogy, the third fight in London. And just because Colby Covington had came in as the backup, they rewarded him with a title shot. A guy who has been inactive for more than a year. You had Gilbert Burns in the run. You had Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad at the time was the most deserving contender. They didn't give it to him. They snubbed him. They gave it to Colby. Facts are facts. Favoritism is favoritism. Maybe Donald Trump had some influence in it. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But clearly, even if Trump didn't have influence in it, Colby was the bigger star. He's the bigger draw. He's much bigger than Bilal Muhammad. So that once again, that was favoritism. Now, a third time, what had happened was Islam and Oliveira had fought for the lightweight title. Islam defeats Oliveira to become the new lightweight champion. Right? Cool. So now they've they got Oliveira. The Islam one and fought Volk, and Oliveira makes his comeback return fight against Gamrot. No, against Benil Dariush in Canada, defeats him in phenomenal fashion, finishes him in round one or two, I believe, via ground and pound, and got himself back in title contention. On the week of the fight, on the Monday or Tuesday, Oliveira pulls out with an injury because of a cut right under his eyebrow. Pulls out. So he pulls out. Volk steps in on 5 or 6 day notice. We know what happens there. Volk gets knocked out, and Islam finishes and closes the chapter with Volk. They then, of course, UFC were upset with Oliveira. So what they did with Oliveira is they made him fight Arman, right? In UFC 300. This was Arman's opportunity to number one contender position. Arman then goes and defeats Oliveira, right? He obviously was in line to fight Islam, and then he didn't take the fight because of the short notice, the turnaround, the window from UFC 300 to Islam's timeline. He couldn't make it, so they gave the fight to Dustin Poirier, which was fine because there was no other viable deserving contender at the time, so they kind of had to give it to Poirier. Islam had to fight someone, so they gave it to Poirier. So then, eventually, after that, Arman waited it out. He was patient. They gave Arman the title shot. He pulls out from an injury. Whatever happened. Moicano steps in. During that time, Oliveira, coming off a loss from Arman, goes and fights the the easiest fighter in the lightweight division, the biggest scrub, tomato can, bum, whatever you want to call it, Michael Chandler, who, by the way, he had already finished in round two when he first became the lightweight champion. I'm talking about Charles Oliveira. He defeated Michael Chandler the first time to become the lightweight champion. They make Oliveira go fight Chandler coming off a loss. He defeats Chandler, 5 round domination. Of course he's gonna dominate him. That's like the biggest scrub in the division. And they reward Charles with a title shot against Arman Tsarukyan. So that's clear favoritism. John Jones. They snubbed Aspinall. For John Jones. They gave the title shot to Stipe Miocic because Jones Jones is the man, you know? He's the man. He's a much bigger draw than Aspinall. They met his demands. Colby Covington, he's a bigger draw than Bilal Muhammad. They snubbed off Bilal Muhammad, gave the title shot to Colby Covington. Uh, and then it goes to Oliveira, right? They gave the title shot to Oliveira for defeating Michael Chandler, whilst Arman is out there. He's fully recovered. Arman even weighed in as a backup in that fight. Arman Sarukian weighed in as a backup in that Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira fight. Of course, he wouldn't have done that. There's an incentive for weighing up as a backup, right? UFC pay the backup fighter. Let's take into consideration that Arman will not be motivated by cash incentive as he is a multi-millionaire. Arman Sarukian is the second richest guy on the roster in the company and all across MMA. After Conor McGregor, it's Arman Sarukian. His dad is a multi-millionaire. Go do your research. Go find out who Arman Sarukian's father is. So Arman didn't need the money. He did it based on the fact that, of course, behind closed doors, UFC had promised him that he will be rightfully the deserving challenger if he does them a solid. He did it, and of course, Topuria is now backpedaling because he's ducking him. So, in my opinion, because Arman's in this position, he should just go fight someone, whoever it is. You know, even if he fights Dan Hooker, who's also an average journeyman, decent fighter. He did beat Gamrot. You know, he does have some notable wins. And if Arman defeats Dan Hooker, I think he should be leapfrogged. I don't think Paddy Pimblett or Justin Gaethje should have any sort of importance should Arman get through Dan Hooker, right? So that's the case for Arman Sarukian. Now we got Mr. Max Blessed Holloway. He's had a great two performances at lightweight. He absolutely destroyed Justin Gaethje. He outclassed Dustin Poirier. Of course, that potentially was Dustin Poirier at the end of his career, but regardless, he did it. Not everyone could do it, and Holloway has showed changes. But once again, Holloway does need one more big win to even be in the conversation. And Holloway is a fighter, no? Holloway's not really kicking up a fuss. He hasn't said anything. This one's interesting. Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot, who once again is an amazing fighter, but has fallen short in high stake fights, right? He lost to Beneil Dariush, a fight that he was favorite in. He defeated Arman Sarukian in a controversial win, which, by the way, the majority of the MMA community don't even regard that as a win for Gamrot. That was a straight robbery. Like, I had Arman winning 3-2, arguably 4-1. Close fights are not robberies. That fight in particular, in my opinion, that was a robbery. Yeah, that was a robbery. Robbery. Gaethje. See, once again with Gaethje, right? Gaethje was having a good run. He was also, when Islam was the champion, Gaethje, it was in the conversation. Islam was challenging Gaethje. He really wanted to fight Gaethje. Gaethje also wanted to fight Islam. UFC seemed to be on ball. Comes UFC 300, which UFC was struggling to create a star-packed card. Justin decided to step in as the BMF, defend his BMF title, steps in against Max Holloway, takes the risk, and gets absolutely annihilated and falls back, you know, in the title run contendership. He falls back, and he didn't have to take that fight. He didn't have to take that risk, but he did it and he lost. It is what it is. And then he steps in and does UFC a solid by stepping in on short notice to fight Fiziev, the rematch, and defeats Fiziev. And now Gaethje is he got in his head that okay, UFC, I've done you a solid at UFC 300, where I was literally I did not have to take that fight. I could have been the next challenger for the lightweight title to fight Islam Makhachev. I went in there, got knocked out, cut my losses, came back, beat Fiziev. So now you guys owe me because I done you a solid. That's the mentality Justin Gaethje has. But I'm sorry, as great as as all the amazing things Justin has done, he has had two cracks at the lightweight title and has fallen short twice and got it wasn't even competitive. Like he got absolutely annihilated by Habib. Um, he was doing very well against Oliveira until he got dropped and then got choked out. I don't think Gaethje's claim to the number one contender spot is as strong as Arman Sarukian's. Then you got Hooker, another guy who's more busy spending time in the tattoo parlors, finding spots on his body to throw on more ink and getting injured every 2 months rather than fighting. I mean, this guy, I don't know, okay, he's not claiming for a title shot, but personally, I think you throw in Hooker with Max Holloway. I think throw them in there for the BMF title, and the winner just goes one step closer to a title shot. Paddy. He's one of the guys that has, he's got a lot of history with Ilya Taporia. He's also coming for that number one uh, title contention spot. Um, Paddy's last win was once again against the biggest scrub in lightweight division, Michael Chandler. Exactly what I said with Oliveira beating Michael Chandler. I don't think anyone in the lightweight division who defeats Michael Chandler deserves a shot at the title. Honestly, I don't think like that is the biggest scrub in the division, and he's just a scam. Michael Chandler is horrible. He's like, what is his record in UFC? It's like 2-7 or 2-6. He's only had two wins in UFC. He's had two wins. Let's look. Let's look. Let's see. So 30 years young, right? He's got youth on his side. Um, all right. I should have done this before. Actually, I should have every fighter that I had mentioned. I should have opened up their page. Let's take this out. Right. So let's look at his run. Right. He's from his first fight till now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Paddy Pimblett has had 6 fights. Um, he's had 6 fights in UFC, and he's won all of them. Provided the Jaron Gordon fight was a little bit controversial, a lot of people felt like he lost. I myself personally have to rewatch that fight. He defeats Tony Ferguson via decision. Not very impressive. Because at a time where everyone was literally finishing Ferguson, um, Pimlet went the distance with. The Bobby Green fight was super impressive. He finished Green quick. King, I'm not gonna call him King Green. No way. Bobby Green. Okay, and then Michael Chandler, just another bum. Um, I think personally, I think uh, I think Pimlet should get one more big win against any of these guys up top here. Any of them should give him the title shot personally because it's so stacked. The lightweight division is so stacked. Anyone from number 9 or number 10 that defeats anyone above them in the top 9 can make a claim to the number one contender spot. Fiziev has just coming off a loss. He was supposed to fight Oliveira. Had he fought in Oliveira, I think he would have absolutely annihilated Oliveira. Let's look at Gaethje's record once again. Let's look at Gaethje's. All right. Okay. 36 years old. Right. He's at the tail end of his career. Um. Okay. Let's have a look. So we're taking it back to his last one, two, three, 4, 5. So his last 5 fights. Oh yes, he was supposed to fight Dan Hooker. Hooker got injured. Fiziev stepped in. Gaethje won the fight. Okay. So his last win was against Fiziev in a very very good fight, action-packed fight. Really loved it. Um, but it was his second fight against Fiziev. Beat him again the second time, the same way he beat him the first time. I don't think defeating Fiziev earns you a title shot. He got absolutely obliterated by Max Holloway before that. He had an amazing head kick win against Poirier. That was the fight. If you were gonna put Justin Gaethje in a title fight, it was after this win, right? They should have just given him Gaethje. Had Gaethje fought Islam, then um that would have been valid. That would have been valid. You can't argue against that. Um, Look, and literally before the Poirier fight, he fought Fiziev and beat him. Before that, he got choked out by Oliveira. So no, I don't think I don't think Gaethje's got a claim to the to a title shot. Gamrot, okay, we don't need to look at him right now. Gamrot, he's got a fight against Oliveira. If he wins that in dominant fashion, then yeah, maybe. Max, so that's it. His 2 fights in lightweight. He destroyed Gaethje, outclassed Poirier, so that was good. So if Max gets a top 5 win, he could make a claim also. Oliveira's out of the picture, and then Oman, and then you got Oman. Yeah. Okay. Ignore these ones, right? These one the Pitbull fight. That was some grappling stuff, and the Zainukov, and this is not even updated because he fought Benson Henderson a couple of days ago. So the apology didn't update this. So then he was supposed to fight Islam. He pulls out. He couldn't make weight. Had an injury. He fought Oliveira, won via split decision, and then defeats Dariush and defeats Joaquim Silva before that. Um, Up until Joaquim Silva, Arman hasn't defeated anyone viable to that, like no elite fighters. The Ramos win was good, but just look at this. He defeats Dariush and Oliveira at the time, the top 5 fighters of lightweight division. So, and then not like Arman's also got the wrestling credentials. Everyone wants to see Taporir's wrestling get tested. Taporir made all of this claim about how he can do whatever he wants with Islam Makhachev, right? Islam's gone now to the welterweight division. So the next best thing you've got close to Islam in terms of wrestling is Arman. Go watch Arman versus Islam, their first fight. Arman, I believe, was the first man in UFC to score a takedown on Islam. He was giving real problems to Islam. And he was only 25, I believe, at the time, or 23. I'm not sure. He was young. 22. He was 22 and gave Islam one of his hardest fights. So these are the 2 that should go at it. But yeah. Um, so the lightweight division right now is just sad. No one's fighting each other. Um, if Ilya literally just accepts this fight against Arman, you're going to see a lot of movement in the division because now there'll be more openings, more opportunities for other fighters. Right now, a lot of fighters are stalling it out. Pimlet is stalling, Arman is stalling, Gaethje's stalling because they all think that UFC is just gonna call them and say, "Hey, you're next to fight Topuria." The moment Ilya mans up and finally decides to face his fear and accept the Arman fight, you will see Gaethje or Pimlet, one of them going ahead, going ahead. Maybe they might even fight each other. They might even fight each other. If not, they might fight Max. Someone might fight Max. Someone might fight Gamrot, provided Gamrot gets that W against Oliveira upcoming. You know. But yeah, so that's all for today. I just wanted to go on this rant uh, for the lightweight division that used to be one of the most exciting divisions throughout history, which is today one of the most, I think right now, bantamweight, featherweight, and middleweight are more exciting than the lightweight division. I never thought I'd see this day. But anyways, guys, thank you, love you, show me some support. New content creator here, um, and I've got a lot to learn. And a lot of room for improvements. So if you show me some of your support, I will promise you I will come back better and bigger and provide better content. Thank you guys. Thank you for your support. Take care. Bye.